Everyone, gather close tonight. I want you to meet the woman who will become Mrs.
I was
Adeyemi.
standing at the door holding his
Mrs.
favorite wine,
Adeyemi.
and then I
He
saw
said her
her,
name,
a
but it
younger
was
woman
not
in a
me.
champagne gown,
How could he
a
do this
diamond
to
ring
me
on her
after
finger.
15
That
years?
ring.
Ifeoma Adeyemi did not cry in front of them. She stood there, heart sinking, waiting for someone to say the words that would have made this moment bearable. She had spent 15 years believing that patience was the highest form of love. She had cooked his meals, raised his children, stood beside his mother through 3 funerals and 2 relocations from Accra to Lagos. She had quietly put her own dream of fashion on hold so he could climb the ladder at his family cement company. Tonight, she would learn that every sacrifice she had ever made, he had counted as leverage. The betrayal. Kunle texted her at noon. "Wear something simple. The family wants to celebrate my promotion." Ifeoma smiled. She could not help it. 15 years together, and he still remembered to include her. She thought, maybe today, his father will finally look at me and call me daughter. She changed into her best Ankara blouse, pressed her jele twice because she wanted to look worthy, sang a hymn her late mother used to hum, stopped at the wine shop on Awolowo Road, bought his favorite crisp Chenin Blanc, and held it against her chest on the drive like she was holding something sacred. She had no idea that bottle would never be opened, because the man she was buying it for had already replaced her. Inside, the lights were golden. The MC was loud. Kunle relatives sat around white-clothed tables, wearing smiles that felt rehearsed. The moment Ifeoma stepped in, the laughter thinned. Not stopped, thinned, like a song losing its melody. Eyes turned. A hush spread across the room like a tide. And in that tide, Ifeoma saw her future collapse before she understood why. Then she saw him, standing beside a younger woman in a champagne gown. A diamond ring glimmered on the woman's finger, the very ring Ifeoma had pointed at in a jeweler's window on Victoria Island and whispered, "One day." Kunle raised his glass and announced proudly, "Ladies and gentlemen, meet my wife-to-be, Tomilola." Ifeoma's mind screamed one thing. That ring. That ring. That is the ring I pointed at. The one he said he could not afford. The one he promised me. She noticed Tomilola's gown. She noticed the way Tomilola laughed too loudly. The way women laugh when they know the room is watching. And for one trembling second, Ifeoma felt something terrifying. Not rage, but recognition. She is wearing the life I was supposed to live. The humiliation. Ifeoma laughed first. Surely it was a joke. A cruel, elaborate, horrible joke, but a joke. But Kunle's face did not move. It was cold, rehearsed, practiced in a mirror. He leaned toward the head of security standing by the door and whispered, "If she causes a scene, escort her out quietly." Ifeoma heard him. She heard every word, and in that moment, she understood there was no joke. She was the punchline. She tried to speak. Her voice cracked like glass on tile. "Kunle, I live with you. Our children sleep in the same room as me. I was in your mother's kitchen this morning. I ironed your shirt before I left." Tomilola tilted her head, the way strangers tilt their heads at grieving women they do not intend to mourn for, and said calmly, "I am sorry you are hurting, but pretending will not change reality." Pretending. The word broke something in Ifeoma. Who is pretending? You or me? I still have the keys. I still have his mother eulogy in my phone. I still have the children drawings taped to our bathroom mirror. An older relative, Auntie Bisi, stood up sharply. Her voice cut through the room like a blade. "Kunle, is not Ifeoma your wife?" He sighed, like a tired king being asked an inconvenient question. Not anymore, Bisi. We separated quietly last year. She found it difficult to accept it. The room fell into whispers. One cousin, younger, bold, pulled his phone and searched Lagos marriage registry. His eyes widened. Kunle, your marriage license with Ifeoma is still active. The records show real time. You are currently married. Kunle did not flinch. He lifted his chin. Online records are not always updated. You know how these systems lag. But this time, his left hand trembled. The glass shook. A single drop of water slid down the stem of his wine glass onto the white tablecloth, like a stain that refused to be cleaned. Ifeoma saw it. For the first time in 15 years, she felt something dangerous rise inside her. Not grief, not betrayal, but clarity. The kind of clarity that comes to a woman who has just learned she was never loved, only used. She walked out. Her heels clicked like a slow heartbeat on the marble floor. Every step was a goodbye to a version of herself she would never again pretend to be. She did not cry until she reached her car. And then she cried so hard her steering wheel blurred. The message that changed everything. Ifeoma sat in the car, eyes swollen, hands gripping the steering wheel. Her phone buzzed. Kunle. One sentence, as if 15 years could be erased with a single text. Do not come home tonight. Your things will be at the gate tomorrow. This marriage is over. She read the message 3 times over. The words tasted like ash. He did not even call. He did not even have the courage to say it out loud. He typed it like I was a notification he was dismissing. She pressed her forehead against the steering wheel and tried to remember the last time someone in her life had chosen her, not because of what she could do for them, but because she existed. She sat in that rain-soaked silence until another notification arrived. Different number. Lagos prefix. The kind of number that felt older than technology itself. Miss Adeyemi, this is Olawale and Partners. We have urgent information regarding your late mother biological family. Please contact us immediately. Her pulse quickened. Biological family. A second message followed seconds later, as if whoever was typing had been waiting for years and could finally press send. This concerns Chief Raymond Okafor final wishes and a trust document naming you as sole beneficiary. Ifeoma stared at the screen. Her hands were shaking, but importantly, this time not from grief. Less than an hour ago, she believed she had nothing left. Her husband erased her in front of 200 witnesses. Her marriage had been reduced to a single text. Her dignity had been auctioned to a younger woman in a champagne gown. She was sitting in her car, alone, with a bottle of wine she never got to open, and tears she never got permission to cry. Now, a stranger was offering her a name she had never been allowed to speak. Okafor. Okafor. The name felt like a key her mother had hidden inside her bloodstream. The call. Rain drummed harder on the car roof. Ifeoma wiped her eyes, took a breath that felt like she was breathing for the first time in 15 years, and dialed the number. Miss Adeyemi, a calm, kind male voice answered. My name is Tunde Olawale. We have been searching for you for nearly a decade. How do you know about tonight? Ifeoma whispered. Tunde paused. His voice softened. Because the person who asked me to find you has been protecting you for years, watching from a distance, waiting for the right moment. Who? Another pause. The kind of pause that exists between one life and another. Your biological father, Miss Adeyemi. Chief Raymond Okafor, the shipping magnate. He is alive. He is very ill. And before time runs out, he wants only one thing in this world: to meet his daughter. She pressed the phone so hard against her ear, it felt like she was trying to crawl inside the call. She cried then. She laughed. Then she cried and laughed together. The kind of broken laughter that only comes from people who have just survived something they did not know would kill them. "My father," she repeated. "You are telling me I have a father?" After 38 years on this earth, someone is telling me I have a father? Tunde said gently, "Yes," and he never stopped looking. She drove to a small guest house in Yaba. She could not sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Kunle's cold face. And then she saw her father's face. A face she had never seen. A face she would soon recognize from every mirror she had ever hated. The letters. Morning came softly, the way mornings come for women who have been broken and rebuilt before sunrise. Tunde welcomed her into a high-rise office on Victoria Island. The elevator was silent, the kind of silence that exists before something changes forever. Folders were placed across the table. Folders that had been waiting for this moment for over a decade. A birth certificate, a DNA match, hospital records dated 1989, photographs of a young Igbo woman holding a newborn in Enugu, and letters. Handwritten letters in handwriting Ifeoma recognized instantly. She had seen that handwriting once before, 20 years ago, on a prayer card she had found hidden in her late foster mother drawer. The card said, "For my daughter, when she is ready." My daughter. The first letter began, "If you are reading this, then I am already gone. Your father did not know I was pregnant. He was in Lagos. I was in Enugu. By the time he returned, I had already been sent away. God willing, he will find you. Be brave, my darling. Be kind. And never, 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 never let a man make you forget who you are." Ifeoma's hand trembled. She did not reach the second paragraph before the tears came. She read every letter. Every one. Some had been written when her mother was already ill. One had been written the night before she died. In it, her mother had drawn a small heart in the corner of the page. The kind of heart only mothers draw with imperfect curves and infinite tenderness. Ifeoma whispered into the empty room, "You are the reason I survived tonight, Mama, even when I did not know your name." The first meeting. Tunde smiled softly. "Chief Okafor is in the next room, Miss Adeyemi. He did not want to overwhelm you. The choice to meet him is entirely yours. There is no obligation. There is no judgment. You can leave today and still inherit everything legally owed to you. But he wanted you to know, before anything else, that this door was open only if you choose." Ifeoma sat alone in the office. She thought of her children sleeping in Kunle's house tonight, confused and afraid. She thought of her mother, who had written invisible letters hoping her daughter would someday feel them land. She stood. "I am ready." The door opened. An older man, thinner than his newspaper photos, slower than his legend, stepped forward. He wore a simple navy agbada. His hands, the hands that had signed billion-dollar deals and built the largest shipping fleet on the West African coast, were now folded together as if in prayer. Chief Okafor stopped at the doorway. His eyes filled. His voice broke. The voice that did not break for storms, for boardrooms, for hostile takeovers, broke for the first time in 38 years for the daughter he had never been allowed to hold. "Ifeoma," he whispered, "you have your mother's smile." They did not speak for a long moment. Words at this stage would have been an insult to the moment. Then she stepped forward. She held him. She held him like the daughter who had been waiting to hold someone her entire life. He held her back, both hands on her shoulders, trembling as though afraid she would dissolve if he let go. 2 decades of searching ended in a single embrace. And in that embrace, Ifeoma heard for the first time the sound of being chosen. Not useful, not patient, not convenient, just chosen. Simply, permanently, unconditionally chosen. The evidence room. Days passed. Each morning, Chief Okafor and Ifeoma sat across from each other at a long mahogany table. Him sipping Lipton tea, her learning how to read balance sheets without flinching. He slid another folder across the table one rainy afternoon. The folder was heavier than the rest. Inside, photographs of Kunle and Tomilola in Dubai, March 2024, laughing over cocktails at Burj Khalifa. Wire transfers to accounts in Ifeoma's name she had never opened. Loan applications bearing her forged signature. The small I she always curved like a tear. Property deeds in Banana Island purchased with her assets. And an unsigned prenuptial agreement, proving Kunle had been planning to abandon her long before Tomilola had moved into the guest wing. "We needed complete proof," Chief Okafor said. "When you finally learn the truth, you would walk into that courtroom with the truth, and the truth is the loudest weapon a human being can carry." Ifeoma closed the folder. She did not cry this time. The crying was over. What remained in her chest was something steady, something forged in 17 hours of grief that had been compressed, hardened, and cooled into a single clear diamond of intent. "Kunle believed I would leave that banquet with nothing," she said quietly. "He believed I would crawl home with a small bag of clothes and disappear into shame. He has been wrong about me for 15 years. He just did not know it yet." The chief nodded slowly, his eyes proud, his voice low. "Then let us show him exactly how wrong he was." For the next several weeks, Ifeoma moved into the Okafor compound in Ikoyi. Not for the marble floors, not for the antique chandeliers. She moved in for the lessons. Mornings began at 6 a.m. sharp with the chief's breakfast. A quiet, dignified affair. Chief Okafor walked her through every shipping lane, every contract clause, every risk that came with running a Pan-African logistics empire spanning Lagos, Mombasa, and Cape Town. He showed her how to read a balance sheet like a surgeon reads a heart, how to fire a man with grace, how to say no without raising her voice, yes without losing herself, and wait without losing her mind. Lawyers, auditors, compliance officers, she met them all. She studied until her eyes burned and her hands cramped. Some nights she fell asleep on the books. Some mornings she woke up before her alarm and ran through the household gardens, lungs burning, because Chief Okafor had told her, "A leader who cannot outrun her own grief will be outrun by her enemies." "You do not inherit a throne," he told her one night, sitting across from her in the small library. "You earn the right to sit on it. Every single day, every single morning, with every single handshake." Meanwhile, Tunde's investigators traced Kunle's fraud deeper. Forged signatures, bribed bank officers, an offshore account in Seychelles, deleted emails recovered from a contractor's hard drive after a careful forensic rebuild. Piece by piece, the wall of lies began to crumble. And in the silence of every crumbling stone, Ifeoma heard the faint sound of her mother whispering, "Be brave, my darling. Be kind." She was learning both. One weekday morning, the kind of morning that pretends to be ordinary until it is not, federal agents walked into Kunle's office at the cement company on Victoria Island. Employees froze mid-sip of their morning coffee. The receptionist dropped her phone. Tunde entered first. Ifeoma entered second. Kunle's jaw slackened. The color drained from his face. "Ifeoma." His voice cracked at the edges, the way voices crack when people realize the life they thought they controlled has already slipped out of their hands. She wore a charcoal suit. No jewelry, no tears, no gele, no Ankara. Just quiet, undeniable authority. The kind of authority that does not need to announce itself because the room has already felt it enter. Tunde handed Kunle the envelope. "Mr. Adeyemi, you are hereby notified that criminal investigations have been opened regarding identity theft, financial fraud, document forgery, wire fraud, conspiracy, and bigamy. All your personal and corporate accounts have been frozen by court order as of 7:42 this morning." Kunle tried to smile. The smile did not reach his eyes. "Ifeoma, tell them this is a misunderstanding. Tell them we can sit down. Tell them—" She met his gaze without blinking. She did not raise her voice. She did not waver. She did not tremble. She simply spoke, in the same tone her father used when signing off billion-dollar deals. Calm, final, undeniable. "You should have thought about misunderstandings before you stole my identity, before you forged my signature, before you stole the woman your mother called her daughter in front of every Christmas table for 15 years. Tomilola grabbed Kunle's arm, her voice shaking. "You told me everything was legal. You told me the divorce was finalized. You told me Ifeoma had signed papers." He did not answer her. He could not. Cameras flashed. Reporters whispered. The office smelled like fresh ink and old endings. Before the agents escorted him out, Kunle turned one final time. His pride, that last stubborn thread of arrogance, made him say the only thing his broken mind could still produce. "You will regret this," Ifeoma replied calmly, and this was the calmest she had ever been in her life. "No, Kunle. The only one who will regret anything is the man who believed he could destroy someone's life without ever paying the price." 3 months later, the courtroom overflowed. Survivors of Kunle's predatory lending practices, widows, single mothers, retired teachers, market women, traveled from across West Africa to testify. Some had lost their homes. Some had lost their businesses. Some had lost savings set aside for their daughter's university. They sat in the gallery holding rosaries, holding each other. Forensic accountants traced every fraudulent naira across 10 shell companies registered in Lagos, Accra, and Lomé. Tomilola, under oath, admitted Kunle had repeatedly assured her Ifeoma had signed divorce papers, and admitted, with her voice breaking, that she had never once asked to see them. "I believed him," she whispered. "I just believed him." The final piece of evidence was an audio recording recovered from Kunle's encrypted phone. A recording his cousin had made without his knowledge during a late-night whiskey conversation in Lekki. "She trusts me too much," Kunle's voice said. "By the time she notices, every account will be empty, and she will have nothing left to fight with." "And what will she do? Call her lawyer?" Ha! I am her lawyer. I am her husband. I am her everything. She will cry in a hotel room for a week, and then she will disappear. Women always disappear when you break them properly. The recording played through the silent courtroom. Not a single person in the gallery breathed. Kunle lowered his head. His hands, the hands that had once signed birthday cards with loving promises, were now cuffed. The judge delivered the verdict. Guilty on all charges. Immediate asset recovery. Permanent disqualification from running any business tied to the fraudulent transactions. 10 years in federal custody without the possibility of early release. As officers led him away, Kunle turned one last time and whispered, "I am sorry." Ifeoma studied the man she had once loved with everything she had. 15 years of patience. 15 years of prayers. 15 years of quietly choosing him every single day, even on the days he did not deserve it. She said, with a voice that carried less anger than it carried clarity, "You are not sorry because you hurt me. You are sorry because you finally got caught. And there is a difference, Kunle. There is always a difference between remorse and regret. Today, you only know one of them." Months passed. Lagos changed colors the way Lagos always does. Harmattan dust, then rain, then green, then harmattan again. Chief Okafor's health declined. But his greatest wish had already been granted. He had held his daughter. He had watched her rebuild herself with tools he had quietly placed in her hands for years. He had seen her become, in real time, the woman her mother had prayed she would be. Before his peaceful passing, surrounded by foliage, by soft Yoruba hymns, by Ifeoma herself whispering her mother's name into his ear, he officially named her chairwoman of Okafor Maritime Group. "Have I told you yet," he whispered in his final hours, "that you were the answer to a prayer I forgot I had been praying?" Thousands of dock workers, captains, clerks, and union leaders attended his memorial service. Ifeoma stood before them in white, no jewelry except her mother's prayer card pinned inside her jacket pocket. She promised to run the company the way he had lived, with discipline, with dignity, and without forgetting the people at the bottom. She promised to remember that every container shipped overseas represented someone's livelihood. Under her leadership, no widow, no orphan, no worker's child would ever again be told that their sacrifices did not matter. Under her leadership, the foundation expanded. Scholarships for foster children, free maritime training for young women from riverine communities, a fund for widows of dock accidents, and a monthly stipend for foster mothers who had loved without paperwork. Her best friend Zainab, who had driven her across Lagos at midnight, who had held her while she wept, now ran the foundation. "We are not just rebuilding a life," Zainab had said. "We are rebuilding a woman and a continent." One quiet evening, Ifeoma visited her mother's grave in Enugu with fresh white lilies. She knelt there for a long time, pressed her hand against the headstone, and whispered her entire story into the soil. Every betrayal, every dollar, every courtroom, every embrace, as if her mother had been waiting to hear it all. Then she drove to her father's resting place in Ikoyi with the same flowers. She placed half the lilies at his grave and half at her mother's. She sat between them, watching the sun disappear behind the hills, and whispered, "I finally found my family, and I promise I will make you both proud." Her phone buzzed. Zainab. The final appeals have been rejected. It is officially over. Ifeoma looked up at the orange sky, took a slow breath, and smiled. Not a victory smile, not a revenge smile, just the quiet, honest smile of a woman who had finally, after 38 years, learned how to come home to herself. Years later, Okafor Maritime became a model of Pan-African ethical leadership. Headlines that had once whispered the abandoned wife now wrote one of the youngest, most consequential chairwomen on the continent. Children in port cities from Lagos to Maputo learned about her in school. Widows who had once wept in her courtroom stood taller in their markets. Young girls raised their hands in classrooms and said, "I want to be like her." Kunle served his sentence in silence. He finally accepted responsibility before blaming anyone else. He volunteered, awkwardly, at a literacy program inside the prison walls. He never asked for forgiveness. He understood now that forgiveness was not something he could request. It was something that could only be offered, in its own time, by the people he had wronged. Tomilola started over in Accra. She opened a small cafe. She wrote Ifeoma one letter, a single page, no return address. "Thank you for not destroying me when you could have. I am sorry I did not ask the right questions when I had the chance." Ifeoma never replied, but she kept the letter, folded inside her mother's prayer card, for years. Ifeoma had learned the lesson the hard way. The worst day of your life often contains the seed of your greatest blessing. The night a man tells you that you are nothing is sometimes the same night the universe finally decides to show you who you have always been. Losing the wrong people creates room for the family, the purpose, and the joy that were always searching for you. Sometimes, the man who believes he has erased your future is the same man who unknowingly hands you the life you were always meant to live.